I'm Ken
And this is Ben.
of the Ken&Ben Show, and this week
We talk about Iran,
recovering from the bombings.
where they got bombed the shit out of
Also, Canada and Trump not getting along.
because Canada's weak.
Also, Mamdani dominates New York City.
And destroys the future hopefuls of the Democratic Party.
So, for folks over on Twitch that don't know, we recently started a podcast over at Twitch, or not Twitch, over on YouTube, the Ken&Ben Show. We'll drop a link eventually to it.
Maybe.
That's probably something I should have pulled up. If you pull it up in the second tab over there, just go to YouTube and it'll give you a link to our channel. But anyway, where we talk about politics, because
Kenny's a libtard.
and Ben's a maggot. So today we're talking about a whole number of things. One of them being Trump ending trade talks with Canada.
Good.
Which is frustrating for a number of reasons, right?
Because we have all the leverage.
You mean like Canada being our best friend in the whole wide world that we're literally kicking in the dick for no reason?
Well, maybe they should have acted like more of a friend.
They have been. Like, historically, they've supported our economy. You know, their population is very involved in our pop culture and other things. In wars, they've always were the first to rush into our aid anytime that we've gone to a conflict. Anytime there's domestic problems, you know, wildfires, you know, 9/11, all of those things, they provided us foreign aid in our times of need. So, like,
I think they make a great 51st state.
I think that violating another country's sovereignty over a joke is in bad taste.
No, it would be all with very diplomatic negotiations.
Also, like, you're basically trying to erase their country identity, right? Like,
Yeah, no, it is a joke, you're right. But although them being a 51st state and that making a lot of sense if it weren't for what you just said, yes, like theoretically, like it makes sense for them to be a state off many of the statistics surrounding the country, but obviously, like with their history and their pride and like their different culture, yeah, obviously, like in that way, it does not make sense. And it's just a fun joke, and it's funny because there are some realistic elements to it, just like anything else that's funny.
But back on the topic of the trade war, like, it really does seem like, you know, Trump's campaign was all about America first, right? And, like, I don't understand how lowering the economic viability of American companies by having things like NAFTA break down is America first.
Well, seems like what he's doing is working because things are getting noticeably better every day since the inauguration. And
Like what, Ben?
the vibe.
That, yeah, because your whole party runs on vibes.
Yep.
But, like, actually, like, car manufacturing, tech, like, there's a whole bunch of industries that, you know, rely on having an open border with Canada trade-wise, you know? Like, the U.S. and Canada have the world's largest undefended border because we're buds, and Trump is just shitting all over that relationship.
Oh, I think it's taking accountability for how things weren't proportioned correctly. And
What do you mean weren't
well,
proportioned
if he is
correct?
America first,
He negotiated the second edition of NAFTA. He was... What do you mean not proportioned correctly?
nothing to do with NAFTA. I'm talking about. Okay, what's very clear is yes, it is America first. He's using insane leverage that we have to get better deals for our country, which means better deals for us.
I think I would agree that it's insane.
But it is America first.
It's not, because you're making it harder for American companies to do business with our closest ally.
Yeah, in the short term, but in the long term, it is incredible.
I think history has shown that tariffs never fucking pan out.
Well, I think it's going to work this time.
Do you think so?
Just like how Nobody's tried socialism correctly before. We need to try it again. Same way I feel about tariffs.
I think what you're trying to say is communism, which I think I would also say that that doesn't work. So,
Oh, that's right. Forgot I was talking to a centrist. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how the tariffs work out because I think he's utilizing them in a way that's very unique. Although I'm not familiar with every instance they were used in the past, so it's not completely fair for me to say that. I am a little bit red on it, and it seems as though what he's doing is literally the best possible negotiation tactic he could possibly have. It's nothing to do with actual tariffs themselves. It's about using them as leverage, and the goal is to reduce most of them, except for just a tiny bit to bring in some more revenue.
but it's very clearly cutting off your nose, spite your face.
Oh, it seems to be working, man.
I don't.
But that's the thing is, the Dems every few days when Trump does something new, you see all the Dems and all the leftist media. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
What are
Look,
you talking
Trump,
about?
Trump made a mistake.
There's
He did
tons of people within
Trump
your
totally
own
fucked
party
this up.
that
Trump
hate his economic
Look how
policy.
stupid Trump is. He just
Literally
made a big
everything that
mistake,
you're
and then a few
saying
days later they
can
just
apply
stop
to
talking
people
about it
within
because
your
what he
own
did worked.
fucking tent.
A few days later, they'll stop talking about it, and you just all the articles will stop out of nowhere because all of a sudden, Trump, oh, what Trump did worked.
No,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
it's not that it worked. It's that it's a complete onslaught of bullshit. You can't keep up with fucking everything.
Got a ceasefire with Iran and Israel.
That didn't work because
No, that's what the reporting was. Because yeah, a few hours after, ceasefire is broken, and then Trump said the F word, and then it was back on, and now it's been good ever since.
yeah, I don't.
Permanent peace forever. Never gonna fight again.
Sure, that's why we have the National Guard posed in the Middle East right now.
Wait, what? Oh,
Yeah, we have
I know,
30,000
it's
National Guard troops in the Middle East right now.
as we should.
No,
World-
we
world
shouldn't.
police,
using
baby.
using the National Guard as a way around the war powers of Congress is, first off, Bush doing it was fucking stupid. And I just think it's just a cop out. Like, there's no reason why that should be the automatic response.
See, I'm with you on this one, actually. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're pulling away resources from LA right now. I think we need to send all of them there.
What are you talking about? There's tons of National Guard. Matter of fact, some of our local National Guard are in the Middle East currently.
Just kidding. Yeah, no, I think it is sketchy and is not a good look. Really bad optics to be sending over National Guard as a workaround for not using Congress. I think Congress needs more respect from the executive, from the left and the right.
But it's just, yeah, it's the nonstop fire hose of fuck up after fuck up.
Oh.
It's shoot and then aim. Ready, fire, aim. And it's just, there are just so much better ways to go about things. I can understand the sentiment of an average Trump voter about wanting a better shot at life. Like, you were sold the American dream and you want to actually be able to do it. And Trump says he sees you. He says the right things that make you feel better. He makes it so that it's easy to make others bad, to make you feel like it's their fault for your problems. And I can sympathize, but if you want to actually affect change, maybe actually, like, I don't know, figure it the fuck out instead of just doing stuff that feels good and then patching it up after.
Isn't that what Democrats are known for? Doing stuff that feels good and then patching it up afterwards, except they never patch it up. I think that's the biggest problem people have with them.
Examples.
Every single thing that they do.
Nope, that's not an example. That's a generalization.
Accurate one. What does our message say up there?
He says that they love me.
Oh, that is the most accurate thing right there.
Yeah, a brown, beautiful bastard specifically.
It's true.
Hmm.
I will concede on that. But, yeah, so, okay. What's your favorite thing that Biden did? Let's start with that. So I know you're going to have something
My favorite thing that
very
Biden
well
did.
backed up.
My favorite thing that Biden did was the CHIPS Act.
Can you break it down for our audience?
So the CHIPS Act would invest $400 million to bring silicon manufacturing back to the United States. Well, I wouldn't say back to the United States, but into the United States, right? Like, we're the country that refines this mineral and uses it in our weapons, computers, technology, everything, right? And there's no reason why that stuff should be manufactured overseas. I get that Taiwan's very good at it. They're very practiced. They're some of the best in the world at doing it. But
We
for
could beat you.
but for national defense purposes and for the job market, the U.S. labor market, that's something that we can absolutely do domestically. And Joe Biden began that process. It's a protectionist thing, which is very, I don't know, it's controversial to talk about Democrats being protectionist because people just blanket accuse us for being globalists all the time. But, there are certain things that need to be within your own borders.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. And you know what? That's going to help me a lot if I'm ever helping you out at events. And I'm talking to Dems with you. I'll be able to at least say one good thing that Biden did. So that's really useful for me.
I think if you're just using the term auto pen to discount somebody who probably worked really hard on it, there's tons of legislation that get created by other people that presidents just sign. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, but to discount somebody's efforts to try to do the right thing with he wasn't all there, you might be right, but he's still the one that signed it.
Well, okay. Well, I get what you're saying, but I think it's pretty hard to argue for Biden having signed everything that the auto pen was used for. I mean,
I think the whole auto pen thing is just disingenuous.
no, but I think it's uh, I think it's something that should be looked into. Obviously, it wouldn't matter if it was a Republican or Democrat. Like, that's just so sketchy. Everything should be physically signed. There's no need for it. I don't care if you have to sign 1,000 pages a day. You're the damn president. Just suck it up.
What are you talking about?
There should be a witness
The auto
in
pen
signing.
gets used in corporate settings all the time. You're gonna say that like every contract ever signed with an auto pen doesn't count?
Try telling me that a majority of tax-paying voting citizens, or just people in the country in general, from any age, would say that they want to fund a government with their tax money that has something as unsecure as an auto pen. It should be witnesses, a real pen, and it should be really signed. Just like if you're getting like something signed with a witness, with a lawyer or something, like if you have to do it for something that you and I have to do in our lives, why should it not have the same scrutiny with the government?
I think to address the incompetent one's question, I think we're gonna have to have our guy in the chair, Andrew, here look it up. But he's asked a legitimate question about whether or not it was an auto pen thing.
What specifically?
The Chips Act, whether or not Biden actually did it. Right. And like that's a legitimate concern, obviously, with his mental state, with, you know, the cancer diagnosis afterward that I'm not 100% sure was exclusively after his term as president. But like at the same time, you're still the president.
Hello,
And
motherfucker.
especially not. Welcome in, Jake. We're talking politics today. No video games.
Sorry, Jake.
Yeah, I'd find it strange too, because like the president's one of the most powerful people in the world. Like, there's no way that you're keeping a close eye on the geriatric man with the finger on the button. Is the thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think it makes total sense to want to look into this. I don't care which side it is. Like, it needs more scrutiny. The fact that we can't just definitively say if he was present for the signing of anything with the auto pen or if it was actually him, the fact we don't know and it's just not an easy yes or no,
But how
that's a problem.
the war on terror wasn't even signed by George Bush in the room either. It's the fact that George Bush was, you know, consenting to it is why it's the thing. It's the same thing with the Chips Act with Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden of presence of mind, and that's the big thing that, you know, that's probably the only point of scrutiny that I think I would allow is that was Joe Biden present of mind to be able to authorize the Chips Act passing?
Oh, I can tell you, man, he's got some hairy legs.
So that's where I stand on that. Thanks for the lurk. Appreciate it.
What does that mean?
It means they're keeping the stream up. We've got a Twitch noob over here. They're leaving the stream up, but not actually paying attention.
Oh, there's a word for that.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So yeah.
So, yes, this is our first stream. Why don't we utilize the chat more and have one of you guys pick out our next topic after we get to the bottom of this auto pen thing?
Well, we can move on while somebody throws it in there.
I don't know how to find out if he was president or not.
Back in a minute. Yeah, and well, that's the thing, right? Like, so much of what happens
Was it
in...
filmed when he signed it?
I believe it was.
Nice. Oh, yep.
Boom, right there.
Looks like he was
in the Rose
responsible.
Garden.
Oh, it hurts to say, but good job on that one, Biden. Ouch.
But yeah, it's stuff like that, right? Like, and I gotta say that acknowledging that your opponent has actually done something good is something that more people need to acknowledge, right? Like, I would give Trump credit if he had done something that I think is good.
You don't think anything he's done ever is good?
Well, nothing comes present of mind, to be honest.
What about season 3 of The Apprentice?
I actually never watched it.
Me either.
And that's why when Trump started running for president, I was like, who? Like, I really didn't know. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, knowing you're a man of common sense, I know eventually we'll pull up something that you don't disagree with.
and like some of the examples that people have brought up about, like, you know, medication price stuff, like, I really hate that I have to do this, but like, every time that Trump does something good, like limiting the cost of Ozempic and stuff like that, I have to look at it like, okay, who else is this benefiting, right? Because it's never just for the good of the people.
I would have to argue with that. No, I'm not going to change your mind, though. So I won't waste the chat's time on that. Let's see. Hopefully not everybody's lurking. Can somebody throw in something they think that would make us argue?
They are. Yep, which is fine. Which we can move on to the next one. We can talk about the New York City mayoral race. Last week we talked about Andrew Cuomo getting absolutely getting one under the desk with Bill Clinton.
Yeah. I wonder if he would have been under 10 points behind if it weren't for that. I saw what he ended up with, 13% less.
Well, it's just crazy to me that, like, he didn't even, like, if you have to quit being the governor over numerous sexual harassment allegations.
And then you get endorsed by the most famous.
Hold on. Before we even get to that. And then get brought up on charges for harassing the accusers. Oh my God. The fact that you have the gall, the cojones to show your face in public and try to be a public servant again is disgusting. And then getting endorsed by Bill Clinton and other high-ranking Democrat officials is just, like I said, it's disgusting. So it's...
Yeah, you should have seen mine and Kenny's reaction when we saw the headline. It was like, Bill Clinton endorses Andrew Cuomo for mayor of New York City. It's like, oh, shit.
And then a few days later, the primary comes around, and Zoran Mamdani ends up winning it, which the Republican Party had an absolute measured and calm response about.
Yeah, I just can't believe Andrew Cuomo got over 30% of the vote. That's just absolutely insane.
Well, you know,
Democrats, I tell you.
he's charismatic and has lots of money.
He's charismatic, and okay, I get to maybe like a very like select amount of grandmas, but
Well, what are you talking about? Like, there's tons of grandmas, but also there
and
part of
bless
it
them.
part of it was the Jewish community in New York City overwhelmingly voted for.
Uh, Protest vote.
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes
which
a bit more sense.
there were four other people they could have voted for instead of Cuomo. Just saying.
Um, and anybody not lurking, how do our mics sound?
I'm sure it's fine. Nobody's
Oh, cool.
complained yet.
Oh, yay.
They're pretty good about letting you know. But if nobody knows who Zoran Mamdani is a progressive candidate. He's a self-proclaimed uh,
Libtard.
socialist, democratic socialist. Yeah. Um, he's also a
Libtard.
naturalized citizen. I believe he is an. Man, I'm forgetting the name of the country.
Um,
It starts with a U, I think.
Uzbekistan.
No.
Um,
Is that a real place? Are you making things up?
it is a real place,
Hmm.
indeed.
Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Um, I think that actually is
Yeah,
you.
I remember seeing that too.
Just Google where is Zoran Mamdani from.
Oh yeah, good chance for us to talk about the market crash after his nomination
What do you mean market crash after
for
his
the housing
nomination?
market in New York City.
Yeah, because one of the policies that he supports is capping rent, which, if you're a millennial living in New York, you've been waiting for the housing market to crash forever. Like
I think everybody is.
$5,000 rent for a closet is just unsustainable. Like something had to happen.
Yeah, everybody just needs to leave New York.
Well, I don't think that's true. There's plenty of New York, Uganda,
Oh,
not Uruguay, Uganda.
oops.
So he's an African Muslim man, which again, Republicans had a very measured response about. He also believes that we shouldn't have billionaires, which is a common sentiment among the progressive party.
I think that it's very concerning to see uh, people supporting a cap on the amount of money you can earn. I think that is a direct attack on freedom. So it's like, yeah, should you?
I don't
should-
think it's a cap on the money that you can earn. I think one of the big things that I think most leftists get wrong is that like taxing the rich, like there needs to be a more nuanced conversation about that because like there already is like a hyper progressive like tax code about income. It's assets where these guys get you, right? It's owning, you know, just for an example, in Hawaii, because that's what I know best. Um, Molokai is 2/3 owned by a Singaporean company, right? Like, and that's just assets. Like, how do you tax assets like that? Because they're unrealized gains and all this other stuff, and it makes it really messy while they're using not only leverage but also like capital gains and all this other stuff to be able to acquire more assets, which takes it out of your pocket. It makes it impossible for you to participate in the system if they control all the assets.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a smart move when we're talking about optics, especially to go with that saying. It's like we shouldn't have billionaires, eat the rich.
Well-
That kind of stuff. Like
well,
it's a
Ben-
big turnoff for
Ben,
most people.
I don't think you realize that this isn't a race war. This is a class war, right? And like that's one thing that a lot of people are saying about with Mamdani, right? Like the right keeps pointing out that he's an African Muslim man who's probably going to be mayor of New York. That New York has forgotten 9/11. That and they're just freaking
I
out.
haven't seen
They're freaking
anybody
out
say
about no. You haven't seen anybody say that?
No.
Dude, it is all over the internet. Like I
Yikes.
said.
That's bad. See, that's just that would have never even crossed my mind.
Well, you sweet child.
Well, I haven't seen a single article, post, comment, anything saying that.
Yeah.
I don't think most people on the Republican side of things think that either.
I think you should follow a couple of Republican lawmakers on X, and you would very clearly see their tweets about Mamdani.
I don't use Twitter.
Sorry, their posts. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, I only use Blue Sky now.
That's not true. We don't have a blue sky yet.
Can you imagine we're rocking a Kick and a Blue Sky at the same time?
Oh, dude, I think we're going on Truth Social. Like Andrew just joked about it, but I think we should.
I think we fucking should.
You need to Rumble.
Just have everything. Maybe we could even moonlight as Reddit mods, then promote it on.
I'm sorry, I've had too much intercourse to be a Reddit moderator. You probably could, though.
I got you, man. I'll take this one.
So yeah, and a lot of critique that Mamdani gets from the Democrats is that part of his platform is criticizing the Democrat Party, right? Which I can wholeheartedly agree with, right? I've had several criticisms about the party. If folks don't know, I actually joined the party, became super active in it during the 2022 caucus. No, 2023 caucus. Anyway, when the last time the caucus happened. And I wanted to caucus against Joe Biden because I don't think he was fit to be president. And obviously, you know, how that went. But I very clearly didn't want Trump to win. So, but
he did.
Because democracy matters, that's why I'm a Democrat. And from seeing the inside, and you can also attest to this, there's like rampant corruption in the party system, right? Like money rules everything, and it's all about it, right? Like how much money your state, local, and all of this other stuff gets from like the national party just absolutely corrupts and handicaps your ability to do what's right. And I think that's something that Mamdani has addressed.
Yeah, I'm so excited for him to win, and I'm really hoping that there's enough time for him to completely destroy New York City and just completely obliterate the imagery of the whole Democratic Party leading up to the midterm elections, and then we get like 20 more seats in the House and like 8 more Senate seats.
I generally don't like to play pretend around that kind of stuff, but I don't know. Like, if you could put bets on it, like, and if you bet it against Mamdani to the point where New York flips red, that would be insane. That would be insane.
And it obviously Trump didn't come close to winning New York in the presidential election, but
well, at least
what it did do is it showed vulnerability. It did push significantly to the right. It shows that
everywhere did.
Yeah. It shows that
the national average flip was 8 points, which was crazy.
And I think it was like 12 to 15 points. I can't remember the exact number. So it was above the average nationwide in New York. It showed a lot of vulnerability. It helped soften it up for something like that to happen.
But I think it just goes to show, right? There's a general dissatisfaction with the status quo, right? Like Trump is evidence of that. Mamdani's evidence of that. AOC's evidence of that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is evidence of that.
Uh-huh.
All of these people are capitalizing on small dollar donors, right? They're not going to large establishment donors, aside from like Trump, obviously, because he attracts such large donors from like other sectors, right? Like the tech sectors and Trump coin and all this other stuff. You know, the slush fund donations.
Robert made like $500 on Trump coin.
What? So, is he going to get pardoned?
No, I sure hope so.
Because that's what it seems like. Trump coin is just the way to embezzle money to Trump so that you get pardoned, like Eric Adams, who is Mamdani's regular election opponent, who was the current governor.
Do you think he's going to beat Eric Adams?
I think he's going to beat Eric Adams. I think Eric Adams has
Tarnished his reputation with the Dems.
well, not even just that, but like tarnished his reputation in general. Like coming out and saying that the Democratic Party was corrupt and he was framed and all this other stuff. Like, sure, but like that didn't buy you sentiment with the Republicans, right? So all you did was piss off Democrats, rightly so, because I think Eric Adams is a corrupt piece of shit.
He clearly was up to something. Something wasn't right about that.
And then when you flip parties, like all you did was take away one voter base and you don't have earned sympathy with the others because you haven't done anything. You just flipped parties. So I think Mamdani's got it.
Yeah, he's just too young and vibrant, and like
That's another thing.
The internet loves him right now.
The internet loves him. Bro is, especially when he talks about like heavy subjects, like, obviously like not everything's going great for everybody, but like having the ability to talk about hard things with a smile on your face, I think brings people to the table, which is important for leadership.
Do you want me to stop showing my feet on the pod?
No, show your feet more. Like I said, we're going to branch off into more social media platforms.
Watch us find that on a foot site later.
What do you mean? We're gonna make it the account for the foot site right after this.
Oh, not even give them the chance to siphon off our profits.
Exactly.
So when you said we're going to make an account and everything, you really meant that?
Yeah.
Just a foot hub.
Ken and Ben show, all over the internet.
I'll just take over the whole thing.
Take over the whole thing.
So, man, if we were to get asked to like go on to another podcast because we're starting to grow, what would be the first one you'd want to do?
Ooh, I think Trevor Noah's podcast,
Bro.
What Now, is pretty good. I like it. I like it. I don't. If what's his name, Ezra Klein asked us to go on Pod Save America, I'd tell him no.
Pod Save America actually showed up at my headquarters in Des Moines when I was on the campaign.
Of course it did.
And they're like trying to get in, and are like, "Oh man, we can be on an episode of Pod Save America," and they want to come in and shoot with us in there, but somebody called leadership asked them if we could let them come in and record in our office with us talking to us, and they're like, "No, we're the most we're the most center Democrat candidate running for president in the 2020 primaries, like." They're coming in here to clown on us, which was obvious, but everybody just wanted a piece of the pie.
Which I honestly don't think is fair because, like, Pod Save America, like, we're Obama staffers. Like, I don't think that's fair for them to, like, dunk on other Democratic candidates immediately after his term. Like, that's just bad taste.
Yeah. So for me, I would like to go. So, okay. I can pick whoever I want if we do Trevor Noah.
I swear to God, if you say Charlie Kirk.
Nope, you only got one guess too, and you blew it. And so I just want this to be on record. If I say yes, Trevor Noah, I can pick out mine.
Yeah.
Steven Crowder.
That's problematic for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're not doing it. Best stand-up comedy show I've ever seen. Back when he was with Dave Landau, but dude, a lot of baggage. Yeah, absolute. I don't think I'll ever see a better stand-up comedy show in my life, ever. Like, it was incredible. Anyways, I would pick Ben Shapiro. No, just kidding.
That's also maybe. Fine, right? Like,
Benny Johnson. That's who I want. Benny Johnson.
When it comes to, like, right-wing influencers, like, I don't even know who Benny Johnson is. I'm sorry.
Yes, you do. You've complained about him before.
I have?
Yes.
Let's Google him.
Our man in the chair, Andrew, our Jamie. Shout out. We love you over here.
Benny Johnson.
Yep, that's the man.
I have not complained about that guy. Even seeing his face, I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah. In excuse me. In terms of vibes, he's my absolute favorite, hands down.
3.7 million followers on X. Yeah, I have no idea who this guy is.
Like if I had to pick between Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles,
Dude,
Uh,
I think we could do Matt Walsh. That would be.
yeah, okay, maybe. So either him or Benny are my favorite.
I think it would be way more fun to do Matt Walsh. And
The dry humor.
well, not even just that, but like it's the inflammatory nature of his comedy.
Have a good chance going viral in there.
And like I don't like to get pissed off, but like I think that's a valid reason for me to get pissed off on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun too, because like we go on Trevor, then you guys would be teaming up against me and clowning on me. Then we go Matt Walsh, Matt and I would get to team up, and then
Well, Trevor Noah doesn't like to clown on people to their face. That was the
yeah,
entire
only
point.
behind their backs.
That was the entire point of the Daily Show.
Yeah, in true Democrat form.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
John
it's just
John
everything-
John
nothing to your
Stewart
face.
perfected dunking on people to their face. He spent the entire time after leaving the Daily Show
Yeah,
doing that.
Yeah, he doesn't align with the current Democratic Party, especially after he
Exactly.
called out the origins of the COVID lab leak, or origins of COVID with the lab leak.
Well, not even just that, but there's numerous things that Jon Stewart has problems with the current Democratic Party, and I can sympathize with them all.
Yeah, do you remember that though? Like how like he just completely broke with the Dems out of nowhere on that. It's like, you can't say that's from China. That's racist.
And like I've always said that it was a possibility, and like if it makes sense, it makes sense, right? And it did. It made sense. And now
you're causing Asian violence because you said it came from China when it obviously came from China.
it did cause Asian violence, which is the fucked up part.
Yeah, and that is fucked up.
Like,
And I'm not saying it didn't, but I'm saying you can't just take something correlated with it and say that, well, you can't tell the truth now. You have to lie about it because it's racist. That's like, what?
Yeah, but there's more tact ways to say it so it doesn't cause hate crime there, bud.
No, like you would get people to try to cancel you or to like attack you just for like saying it blatantly, like just completely.
Yeah,
to the bones.
because you were saying it in a racist way.
No,
You were making
factual.
hold on, the same groups that have issue with immigrants were the ones that were saying it's from China, go back to China, you Chinese person.
Although-
you brought us COVID,
We should-
and that's where it came from.
Those people should be deported because that's gross behavior. But the thing is, I personally witnessed it myself. To me, knowing I didn't say it in a racist way, because it's directed especially at a government, the government of China, and nothing to do with Chinese people. Obviously, the population of China didn't collude together like, oh, us Chinese people are gonna make a virus together to bring down the United States economy and put us on an even playing field. That's stupid. It's the Chinese government had a program that led to that having happened.
I
and
said
the
I
COVID
still think it was an accidental leak.
I don't.
Your
I know,
conspiracy
I'm
of it
talking
being
of-
intentional.
I was talking about it as in like referring to some of these people.
Mm.
No, I don't know one way or the other. I think it's easily possible it was one or the other, but it does. Just looking at it, just flat, it does seem like it's more likely that it was accidental, but we might not ever even know for sure, and that's the thing. I'm not going to act like I know. There's no way to know right now, unless you're the person who did it.
But the problem being, right, was credible sources were not being taken seriously, which
Because they're lying.
caused it. No. Credible sources about it being a lab leak
Oh,
were not being taken seriously,
okay.
which caused it to go into the underground, where people with ill intent behind the allegation were using it to increase fervor around the racist parts of it, which caused the hate crime. Where if it would have been able to be decimated through legitimate channels, like the government saying, yes, we think it was, this is what we're investigating, and do that as soon as possible, then you prevent the shitty people from being shitty because you've put it in a legitimate circle, right?
Yeah, Uh, just another big stain too, like how you guys dragged out January 6th against us to this
Because it
day.
was an insurrection and deeply unconstitutional, and calling for the hanging of the vice president is insurrection.
Yeah, and that's bad, but that also means we can drag out you guys taking over the media, and then a lot of people dying as a
What do you
result of
mean
faulty
taking over the media?
information.
Here's one thing that I fucking hate when people bring about the mainstream media, right? The mainstream media isn't a fucking monolith, right? Reporters and editors have the ability to report on things way more than people think. Like, yes, I've had stories killed because it was going to be bad for business, but on the large part, stifling a story isn't really a thing. On top of the fact that while Democrats overwhelmingly work in news because we're educated, right? The
Control
people
freaks.
the people that own these organizations and would be the ones controlling the narrative are Republicans. The two largest media conglomerates in the United States are owned by Republicans that donate heavily to the Republican Party.
Yeah, and it's almost like the conservative outlets are not even on the same level at all in terms of actually reporting real news.
I'm
Okay.
talking about real news organizations being owned by Republicans, and
Oh,
if they were
I
if they were wanting
understand
to
that.
control the narrative, it would be from Republicans because they're the ones at the top.
But how do you explain everything that's on Fox News being completely 100% accurate with no bias, and everything on MSNBC being completely false? No, I'm just trying to frustrate you.
But
I think we're dipping
but
into this topic a bit
but
too
that
much.
was the thing, right? Like, it's just one of my pet peeves when people call out the mainstream media, right? It's
Well, it's a legitimate call out, but yeah, it's not a monolith, and
it,
it's not like some evil entity that needs to be defeated. In a sense, I guess maybe it is, but
and at the end of the day, right? If you have a problem with like a story not getting traction the way you think it should be, it's purely because it's not profit motivating.
oh yeah, and I understand that the biggest thing behind what happened with COVID in the media was because of pharmaceutical money.
Well, not even just that, but like a lot of the storytelling around COVID was because they wanted to sensationalize it.
Yeah, but I guess we need a whole pod to cover that. Let's. I feel like we're missing a juicy topic from the last week. Probably want to dip into.
Oh, about Iran?
Yeah, before our Jamie leaves.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, it turns out that bombing a whole bunch of nuclear sites in Iran didn't actually do as much as the war hawks would hoped. If I was about to say, if you want to bring up the
fake
article,
news. I don't trust anything that comes from the UN.
Iran could start enriching uranium for bomb within months. What are you talking about? U.S. intelligence is the ones that are also saying 1 to 3 years. Granted, they've been saying 1 to 3 years for 30 years because they're getting their intelligence from Israel, who
Assad.
are paranoid about it. But yeah, just like it's really great that we almost got dragged into another Middle Eastern conflict over what it equates to fucking nothing so
No,
far.
Daddy Trump had a tight control on it the whole time.
Yeah.
It was always going to be fine.
Well, having a tight control and deploying the National Guard, like we talked about earlier, that's two different things, man. Because if you had tight control, then you would be able to ask Congress and be granted the army for this sort of thing, right?
No, I mean, it was never going to go to war.
Never say never.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to jinx that one. But, yeah, I want to be podcast buddies, not trench buddies. But, it's. If you watch any of our other previous episodes, we'll link the last one here in this video. I was concerned. I had a bad feeling when he said he was giving him 2 weeks the day before, and then he just all of a sudden just bombs the fuck out of him with all those bunker busters. Yeah, I had an eerie feeling in my tummy. That didn't feel good. I felt very worried, actually. But it's just every time you think that this man is fucked up, he's just done something wrong, made a mistake, done something stupid, it always works out. It always ends up being like actually like genius chess move on the board. And I think that we're going to see that with the tariffs. I think we're going to see
I think
that
you
with
stroking
Middle
your God King's ego by calling it like
East, the master stroke,
a master stroke is just
master stroking.
yeah,
Trump.
it's just so stupid. Like,
If there's anybody that deserves a master stroke, it is Donald Trump.
yeah, like you.
That man has earned it. Melania, you know what to do.
That's so gross.
I know.
You're fucking disgusting.
I know. Anyways, I think it's good, and unless some libtard gets elected in 2028, I don't think that we're currently on a trajectory for that. I think.
Please explain to me
how. I
how.
think we got 2028.
Please explain to me how a progressive getting elected to the White House would make it so that us going to war. I'm pretty sure we've been the anti-war party for longer there, bud.
Then why do you guys keep starting new wars? Or
What do
letting
you
them
mean?
happen?
Name one. Name one. Name one. I'm gonna fucking dunk.
Ukraine, Russia.
We didn't start that. Russia started it.
Yeah, because Biden was weak.
No.
Yep, absolutely.
How does Biden being in the White House affect Russia's game plan?
He wasn't in the White House. He's on the beach. Letting people sign his auto pen.
George Bush, Bush Sr., Nixon. Like, there are so many examples of Republicans being war hawks
Party
that
flip.
what you... I'm going to fucking punch you. That any legitimate concern that you think you might have about Democrats being war hawks is just wrong. Every single modern president has inherited the Middle East from their Republican colleague,
Oh, I mean, Trump seems to be the only one who's trying to fix it.
which I applaud, right? Like, putting America first, being a protectionist, stopping the world police stuff, I can get behind, right? But that's still...
Yeah, he's not a traditional Republican. Yeah, I agree with you on all of those ones
Well,
that you listed.
he's turning into the model of what Republicans want to be, which is concerning.
Ceasefire deal.
I
Only broken once or twice. That was only within a few hours after it was supposed to take effect at midnight that night. And then Trump said that bomb, everything was fine.
just, yeah.
Raised his voice a little, they got scared. Everything's been fine since. Hopefully it holds out. I guess the only time will tell, but the reason I was saying, like, hopefully it's Republican in 2028 is because, especially if it's Vance, because it'll be the same thing. If we detect that they're trying to enrich uranium again, blow up the sites. Just blow them the fuck up. Make it impossible.
Or...
So that way, if we have potentially 12 years, or at this point, a little over 11 years of them, like, not being able to do it because we'll just blow it up instantly. Like, they can't even get started. Eventually, like, probably by then, like, the supreme ruler of Iran is not going to be in a state where he can even watch over it anymore.
So
Isn't he
let
like
me
88 years
let me
old?
get this straight. You're advocating for consistently violating another country's sovereignty.
No, because
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
no, because they
Bombing
won't do
them,
it.
bombing them repeatedly
No, because
over
they
a
won't do it.
series of years is something that you just advocated for.
No, because they won't do it because we would bomb them. So the bombing won't actually happen. Yeah, everything's fine.
Anyway, I think that's enough for this week's podcast.
Yes. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, call us stupid, join in the conversation, disagree with one of us, support one of us.
And I'm going to put it in the description of this video. But if you're watching this on YouTube, we were live on Twitch. You want to join the conversation live next time? There will be.
On the next episode of the Ken and Ben Show.